Now, I know that you have your own experiences. You're a young person. Are you willing to share some of what it was like for you to be coming out as a young gay man?
Sure. I actually, I started to know something was different when I was a little kid, but I didn't exactly know what it was. It slowly progressed into puberty when I started realizing that I was looking at boys and not at girls, and I come from a more religious standpoint, so I was looking at like, oh, I can't be gay, no, this isn't right, I can't be doing this. And really, I started not accepting myself. I started hating myself for it. It got really, really bad, basically, and after a while, it somehow in my head it just popped, I've tried changing, I can't change this. Tried the power of prayer and all that, it wasn't changing, and maybe this is something that is a part of me and I have to live with. And so I finally started accepting myself. At that point I came out to my best friend, and I came out to my high school. But prior to coming out, high school was typical high school, you got made fun of for being a nerd or being a little bit different, but it wasn't extremely horrible. At the point when I came out in my high school, which is Gretna High School, that's when a lot of stuff started taking a turn for the worst. I was being pushed into lockers. I would walk down the hallways and a student would come up and punch me. At one point this happened in front of a teacher who just stared and didn't do anything to help me, didn't do anything about the situation. And I started hating myself even more. And eventually it led to me attempting suicide at my house. I did it twice. The first night, my mom was still at work, and I came home and I took a rope and I tried to hang myself in my closet. Luckily the rod broke, and I remember the rest of the night just crying in my room. I didn't want to come out. I didn't eat dinner that night. The next day I had someone scream the F word that people use for sexual orientation at me, and I got pushed into another locker. One kid I was walking down the hallway, and a kid had his locker open. I got pushed into it, and they slammed the locker on me. So I ended up coming home again, and this time I tried taking a bunch of Tylenol pills. I ended up being knocked. Luckily I didn't take enough to at least knock me out for several hours. And I woke up sometime the next morning, and I just kind of came to this realization that I've just tried 2 attempts. Obviously, something wants to keep me here. So at that point, a lot of stuff was still going on in my life. I ended up going to the hospital, I think it was, for a sinus infection or something, minor. And I was with my mom, and we were discussing things. Again, kind of a rebel teenager, and being at that point, I was very upset and very angry at the world. And while getting in kind of a small argument with her, I let her know that I was gay. At first she was like, "Are you kidding?" She really didn't quite know. She thought it was maybe kind of like a little joke or something that I was trying to get back at her at the situation. But I just looked at her and said, "No, I'm not." But she didn't quite know what to do at the time. I came out with my sisters, and they took her to PFLAG.
And PFLAG is what?
PFLAG is Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. It's a small group of parents and friends, and even gay and lesbian and bisexual LGBTQ people. And they come and discuss, what it means to be LGBTQ, how can they help. It's kind of like a counseling session as well. They have a little time for that, and a little social. And she got to hear some powerful stories from other people, and she's come around a lot. She's an amazing person.
And so now you've been able to get the support that you need, and you're a successful college student. And what is your major again?
I actually have a double major. It's psychology and women's and gender studies.
And what do you hope to do with your degree?
I hope to, of course, graduate
Yes.
in a year.
Yeah, good.
And then I hope to go to grad school and possibly an MSW, basically become a counseling psychologist, helping out with LGBTQ individuals with coming out or any kind of other issues.
That's really good. Thank you for sharing your story. When we go and we talk about gay youth and we talk about our educational system, Dr. Tetreault, do you think that the school system has a responsibility to gay youth?
Definitely. The schools actually have a responsibility to all youth as well as to all families.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that actually in the Lincoln Public Schools, they really try to do quite a bit given the social and political climate that we live in. So I know that there's some programs that are taking place starting in K through like 3, I think, where they're trying to provide some diversity awareness with the children so that they're starting to learn about the concept of being able to respect people of all backgrounds. And so when that doesn't happen, because that's where our youth spend the majority of their day, then the schools really are charged with not only providing a safe and respectful environment, but also really with helping to groom our children to be able to function in society as well. It's a big task, and so it's not necessarily an easy task, but it is definitely one that society relies on the school system to help fulfill.
And I want to go and repeat and endorse your comments on Lincoln Public Schools. I do believe that Lincoln Public Schools tries to create a safe learning environment for everyone. But as we talk about these issues, everybody's not lucky enough to go to the Lincoln Public Schools. And there's always room for improvement.
Right.
What do you say when some people say, but you're indoctrinating my children?
I think education and indoctrination are very different things. Education is about raising awareness, about providing factual information, talking about theories, how they apply to everyday life, how that information can be used to benefit people in everyday life. When you indoctrinate someone, you're basically telling them, this is the way it is, this is the way you're going to think about it, this is what you can and cannot do. And it's a very different situation because you're basically teaching people not to think, but to do things by rote and just to go along with what you've been told to do, not to question. The old poem about ours is not to, question why, ours is but to do or die. And unfortunately, indoctrination really oftentimes leads to that. If you don't have an educated populace and one that's able to actually think about the complexities of life, then as a society, we're in trouble. So education is one thing, indoctrinating people is a very different way to go about doing things.
I agree.